Hey, what's up, everybody? Mike Dokter here. Welcome back. We are reading through Pound the Stone by Joshua Medcalf, book number 2 in the series. Started with Chop Wood, Carry Water. My name is Mike Dokter. I think, as I mentioned 2 seconds ago, so you should know that. Especially if you've watched the other videos, I am the head basketball coach for the House High School basketball team, and this is our book that we have been reading through for the 2024 season. Looking forward to 2025. 2023 was Chop Wood, Carry Water. So if you are reading this for the first time or watching this for the first time or following along, thank you so much for joining us. Go back and watch the other videos. We're going to read chapter 40 and 41 today. Chapter 40, Authentic Vulnerability. As the summer moved on, Jason slowly got out of his funk, at least when it came to selling. Seeing a post from Kaya on Instagram or a Snap story about her going to the movies with Trey still made him angry, but he kept reminding himself what Russ had said. If Kaya is who you say she is, she'll recognize what you see in the guy anyway. Good things take time. If you truly care about this girl, you'll hang in there. You'll put in the work doing the little things. Just like last year, Jason felt things really click into place during the last 3 weeks of the summer. He made a lot of progress as a salesman, though. He had made a lot of progress as a salesman, though he didn't necessarily know if he had the numbers to back it up. Just like last year, he had made a promise to Russ to stop counting and not looking at the scoreboard. He felt like it was a little easier this year than last year, which made him happy. Maybe he was learning to focus on the process after all. But when he finally did look at the scoreboard, he had logged only 90 more sales than last year. Not only did he miss his goal for this year, he barely hit his goal from last year. He couldn't figure it out. He had put in the work this year. He had pounded the stone day and night, or so he thought. Sure, there were ups and downs just like last year, but he genuinely thought he had really improved as a salesman. He had even bragged about it on social media, logging a series of posts with the hashtag #HustleLife throughout the summer. And sure, Jason knew that social media wasn't real life, but it was easy to get caught up in. He liked flipping back through his posts from the summer and seeing the lineup of shots showing him logging sales and delivering books to smiling clients in his button-down shirt and pants. He liked that version of himself. Looking at the posts, it was easier to believe that version than to face reality, that despite all his progress, he still wasn't where he wanted to be. So even now, he couldn't resist one last Hustle Life post, grabbing a shot of himself at the bank holding a big wad of cash. As he was playing with the filters with it before dinner, Russ noticed. What have you got there? Just a picture for Instagram. Jason did admit that he had already spent 10 minutes trying to figure out the perfect filter. About how much money have you made this summer? Jason reddened with embarrassment. Is there something wrong with that? At the end of the day, I don't care that much about what you post. I care about your heart. What is going in your heart and what you feel. Okay, I'm going to start this section over. All right. Russ noticed. What have you got there? Just a picture for Instagram. Jason didn't admit that he had already spent 10 minutes trying to find the perfect filter. But how much money you made this summer? Now I got it. All right, we're going to start over again. Here we go. Third time's a charm. All right, what have you got there? Just a picture for Instagram. Jason didn't admit it as he had already spent 10 minutes trying to find the perfect filter. About how much money you made this summer? See how that sounds different? Jason reddened with embarrassment. Is there something wrong with that? At the end of the day, I don't care about what you post. I care about your heart. What's going on in your heart that you feel you need to post that? Well, what do you mean? What I mean is that oftentimes we are feeling inadequate or not good enough. We will try to project an image of success on things, of looking good in order to try to cover up our true feelings. A king, a queen, or any truly powerful person never needs to tell you that they are powerful. They just are. When I was in my 30s, I struggled a lot with this too. To create that image of success, I wore designer clothes and drove a Ferrari. I worked very hard to build a significant brand, and I wanted other people to know how successful I was. But as I already told you, inside I was a mess. Every day I desperately tried to cover up my own feelings of worthlessness. Russ went on. A picture is just a picture, Jason. It often isn't even reality. But I know I don't have to tell you that. You experienced it in ways far more painful than words. Jason nodded, overwhelmed by a sudden wave of sadness. He remembered just last summer looking through Travis's Instagram and thinking he was living the perfect summer. But he knew how much of a total lie that each picture was. And the entire time that Travis was struggling with never feeling, quote, enough. Comparison isn't just the thief of your joy, Jason. It can be the thief of your life itself. And what scares me is that you have it much worse than Jan and I did growing up. You are consistently bombarded by the highlight reel lives of kids your own age. Some of it is real, but most of it is photoshopped, filtered, and edited to tell a very specific story. In some cases, the cars, cash, and girls are all props that have been rented to make the person look like they're something they're not. The irony is that the fake it till you make it tactic is the exact opposite of how truly successful people live. They live with authentic vulnerability because they know that the world always connects more with your grit than with your shine. They might show up for your shine, but they'll stay because of your grit. Jason looked a little bit confused. What do you mean by grit in this case? I once heard a woman named Sherry Cole talk about how she needed people's grit, or else they were too slippery and there was nothing to hold on to. If you look too perfect, which none of us are, then the people have a hard time identifying with you. They identify with what's real. To me, it's about showing people your scars, your wounds, and being authentically vulnerable about your real journey, not just about the highlight reel of your daily summer or life. He looked at Jason's eyes. I'm really proud of you, and I know how hard you've worked and how much you've sacrificed and invested to earn money. It didn't come easy. But do you really need to post a picture to prove anything that you haven't already proven to yourself? It was a good question. Finally, Jason shook his head. No, not really. Russ continued. We all love being around people who are comfortable in their own skin. People who are so big on the inside that they make everyone else feel big around them. People who are small on the inside try to make other people feel small around them. They almost only want to talk about themselves. They diminish others' accomplishments and inflate their own. They aren't even very much fun to be around. And I should know, for the first 45 years of my life, that was me. So that's how you learned all this? Unfortunately, yes. On the outside, it looked like I was really big, but that was just to hide how small I felt on the inside. I spent the last 2 decades shedding all the layers of junk I put on playing the comparison game and desperately trying to prove that I was good enough, valuable enough, and big enough to deserve love. Perfect is a trap, Jason, and I'm afraid it's the one your friend Travis fell into. All right, a couple things from that chapter, and then we'll move on to the next one. First of all, I apologize for not reading it appropriately the first few times I tried, but here's the deal. Authenticity. Authenticity is huge. It is more important for you to be authentic than it is for you to be a fake version of yourself. In the world of basketball right now, especially in the world of basketball recruiting, we see all the highlight reels, we see all the Twitter feeds, we see all the different things that are going out there. And that's just fine. And a lot of times it's necessary. In a lot of circumstances it's necessary. And it is the way that recruiting happens now. A lot of college coaches are looking at X, they're looking at Instagram, they're looking at your reels. But any good college coach knows that your Instagram reels are only your highlights. It's only the very best that you're possibly able to manage. What a coach is more interested in, what I'm more interested in as a coach, is how you respond and how you behave when things are going like crap. How do you handle things when there's a challenge? How do you handle things when you miss a shot? How do you handle things when you turn the ball over? Do you throw your hands up in the air, or do you get back on defense and try to get that play back? Do you focus on the next play, or do you focus on what just happened? That's what this chapter is getting at. All of the stuff we see on Instagram, which again, it's so much harder for anybody growing up right now with all of the stuff that you have to deal with from a media perspective than what people who are my age, 40, 41, 45, 50, had to deal with. We never had to deal with anything like that. We had our own insecurities and issues that we had to deal with, but we never had to deal with anything like that. And I want you to understand the last sentence here, perfect is a trap. That is very, 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 very real. Perfect is a trap. And I don't need you to be perfect. I don't want you to be perfect. Nobody wants you to be perfect. We want you to be you. So just be you. All right. Chapter 41, a rough start. Jason's junior year didn't exactly start off as well as he had thought it would. After a summer of pounding the stone every night on the practice court, Jason was excited to get back to the real one. That excitement vanished as basketball season approached and the announcement went out that Coach Michael wouldn't be returning for the season. After Travis's death, a follow-up from the school administration revealed that his coaching style may have been a contributing factor, and he quickly stepped down. Now the school had hired a new interim coach, Coach Lloyd. He was older than Michael, and rumors were that he had only gotten the job because he was friends with the athletic director, Miles. And while he had decades of coaching experience, it was in a much smaller school and a different league. As much as Jason didn't like Coach Michael, at least he knew him. And at least Michael knew how to use Jason best in the schemes they ran. This new guy was a total question mark. No one knew anything about his coaching style or the kind of program he would run. Who knows? Maybe he'll be better than Coach Michael. Jason heard that a few times as he and the other guys got ready for warm-ups and tryouts. But after tryouts, any thought of enjoying a better season disappeared. It wasn't that Coach Lloyd had a different coaching style than Michael. He just didn't seem to know how to coach at all. He basically just rolled the balls out and let the guys play. He walked onto the court with a blank look, carrying a clipboard covered in diagrams and notes, though he never communicated what was on it. He seemed more like a babysitter than a coach. Coach Michael might have been a transactional jerk sometimes, but at least he had high basketball IQ. Jason introduced himself and did his best to make sure Coach Lloyd knew what kind of player he was, but it didn't seem to matter. In fact, after the first practice, Coach Lloyd began subbing Jason out for someone else for half the practices moving forward. After the first week of practices, Jason felt more confused than ever. How was he going to play for a guy like this? He knew that his junior season was an incredibly important one for him as a prospect. This would be the season he planned to make some headlines and get noticed by scouts. But that would be impossible if he was only on the court half the time. And even when he did get playing time, Coach Lloyd had them running such weird systems that Jason felt unusual and overlooked. He felt like he was playing with handcuffs on. It didn't help that things between him and Kaya were strange too. Even after talking to Russ and Jan about it for what seemed like all summer, he still didn't quite know how to deal with her dating Trey. He avoided her for the first few weeks of school, but she must have noticed. "Jason, why are you avoiding me?" She found him at his locker between classes, and while Jason thought that she looked prettier than ever, he had never wanted to talk to her less. How could he tell her the truth? It hurt so bad. So instead, he just stammered a weak excuse. "I'm not avoiding you. I've just been super busy." "So busy you can't return a text? So busy you walk around the other side of the building to avoid me during third hour?" Jason tried to argue, but she saw through it. "Look, if this is because I have a boyfriend now, you can be an adult about it. Just because I'm dating someone doesn't mean we can't still be friends." Those last words felt like a dagger. "Yeah," Jason nodded, "I guess so. Plus," she added with a smile, "Ryan's been asking to shoot hoops with you again." That did bring a small smile to Jason's face, but it clouded over. "Why don't you take Trey to shoot hoops with him?" "Because Ryan didn't ask to hang with Trey. He asked for you." Jason grinned. "Well, maybe you should learn to listen to him about who you date. He's a smart guy." Ha ha, Kaya just rolled her eyes. But as they made plans to hang out with Ryan again, Jason walked away feeling genuinely happy for the first time in a long time. All right, sometimes things change. Sometimes you got to face your difficulties. Sometimes you got to deal with it. That was really more of just a plot chapter. Not really anything too much in terms of real insight and things, so I'm not going to drone on about it. But thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll get into the next ones here right now. See you next time. Bye now.